Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Hey, it's Jeff McNichol down here at Mom's Music, 1900 Melwood Avenue. I was just thinking, when I was a kid, the magic was at Frankfort Avenue, the Mom's Music at Frankfort Avenue, and I used to beg people to get a ride down there just to hang out with the guys and see all the cool gear. Now that I'm the owner of this store, it's like a dream come true. We're recreating the magic with the vibe that we used to have at the old store. We're carrying all the gear that you're going to possibly want. We're giving you the outstanding service and personal attention that you deserve. Yeah, so we've got the great guitar shop here. We're carrying USA Fender, USA Gibson, Paul Reed Smith, Gretsch, Jackson, Charvel. Anything you could possibly want, we're going to have it for you. Mom's is and always will be Louisville's music store.
Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I am your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now, let's get this show on the road. What is going on, metalheads? Thank you all for tuning in to the Metal Forge this week. I hope you all are doing awesome. Today, I have Hellwuv from Black Knife in Lexington, Kentucky here on a Reforged episode. And we are going to be playing catch up with these dudes and to see where Black Knife is now. And since the last time we had spoke, because hey, they were on at the very beginning of the pandemic, like May or something like that of 2020. And it's like, holy crap, so much has happened since then. You know, I think they've put out a couple albums, but we're going to talk to Hellwuv here in just a few minutes. So what the hell is going on? You know, I don't know if you all seen, Ozzy had some surgery and now the Ozman has gone home from the hospital. Supposedly he's in good recovery. He's recuperating just fine. I've always had a somewhat weird past with, you know, with being a fan of Ozzy. Because of course, because of the, you know, the whole Sharon thing, which is whatever. But it doesn't discredit his, you know, his place in music, I guess. So get well soon, Oz. You know, everybody's pulling for you. Everybody wants to see you again and go back on tour. And hopefully you will be able to do that. So, I did an adult thing here, and I bought a cold brew coffee maker the other day, and let me tell you, it's odd, and I love it, and I think it's like my new summer thing. It's like, you know, I love iced coffee and shit like that, but like, wow, you know, this is a new experience because I could do it at home. It's not sitting out at like room temperature cold coffee, right? And I know a lot of people are like wincing at the thought of room temperature coffee. But yeah, it's totally cool. So that's the highlight of my my week is I bought a cold brew coffee maker and I'm enjoying the fucking hell out of it. So no, actually, that's not the highlight of my week. That comes in a really distant second place because I actually got to meet some new awesome people here in the Metal Forge. this past Sunday, my band Overload opened for Anvil and Midnight Hellion and White Wizard. And, of course, the dudes in Anvil, so rad. I am glad to have actually got to meet Lips in person along with Chris and Rob. Rob, I thoroughly enjoyed our super long conversation about U.S. politics and, just the state of things in the world today. Super rad dude to talk to. I appreciate it. And hopefully soon we'll have you here on the show as well, along with White Wizard and my new friends in Midnight Hellion with Rich Kubik. But seriously, Rich, guys in Midnight Hellion and White Wizard, you guys definitely have a spot here on the show whenever you want it. So come on, let's do this. Let's get hit up when you guys come back from tour, because it's going to kick ass and it's going to be awesome. And, the whole deal, like Anvil and those guys, super rad. And it's a big tour. It's like 30 days or something like that. And it's really awesome to be able to do something like that prior to, with gas prices the way they are all over the world at this point. So, shit, yeah, guys. Take care out on the road. You all got this. You kicking ass and taking fucking names. That's right. So we're going to go back to the Heavy Metal Wasteland with Jason Gardner today. And his review is a little bit of something different. I don't think it's necessarily an album review. I think he said that he was going to look at some U.S. festival things. So I know he's got a long one this week. So let's check in with Jason and see what he's got going on.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Wasteland. I'm going to change it up a little bit this week, talk about a subject that I feel very passionate about in the realm of rock and metal. That is U.S. festivals, what I deem not very good for the music industry, and talk about some comparisons to the European counterparts. But before we get started, I just want to make sure everyone knows that these are my opinions only, not Mark's, even though it is on his podcast, and I appreciate him giving me a little bit of time to air some grievances. So let's get started with my first grievance. Grievance number one is, for these big Danny Wimmer Presents U.S. festivals, keeping bands who should have died a long time ago alive. So, I'm talking about bands like Papa Roach, Chevelle, Breaking Benjamin, I would even say Korn, Limp Bizkit has had a resurgence for some reason. These are bands who should have been done a long time ago, but because of the need for marquee names on posters, I feel that they're kept alive artificially, on life support, if you might want to say. And the harm that this does is the younger bands are not getting a fair chance to really shine in front of mass audiences because these bands are taking up air. There's a place for these kind of bands. It's called Rocklahoma. It's for older bands, That's where they should be playing. But the festivals that are all the rage now, the Danny Wimmer ones, or Blue Ridge Rock Fest, they have to sell tickets, and these names sell tickets. We need to get past the hierarchy of age of bands, I feel. You could take Papa Roach, and I could give you 50 underground bands that would blow the fucking doors off that band. But because they're not a well-known name, they'll never get that shot until these bands are done. So, that's my first grievance. My second grievance is the names of the U.S. festivals versus the European festivals. So, for instance, if you had your choice in the United States and you had to pick one festival blindly, and you had the choices of Welcome to Rockville or Hellfest, which one would you pick? I think the answer would be Hellfest, 100% of everybody listening to this podcast. It screams metal. You know what you're getting. Even though they have some weird bands every once in a while on Hellfest over in France. Like Leonard Skinner or ZZ Top. Bands you wouldn't think of at a band called Hellfest, but I digress. They are not innocent of padding marquee names on their festivals either. But I'll get to more about that later. The name Welcome to Rockville, in particular, annoys me to no end. It sounds like they got a festival name generator, and these are the words that came out of that generator. Welcome to Rockville. This sounds like a festival set up for rock and metal cosplay weekend for people who just think that when you take a picture at a festival, you have to stick your tongue out and throw up the devil horns, even though most of the time the devil horns aren't even right. You don't use your thumb. Watch a Dio video. He will teach you the way. They probably throw horns up at country festivals and rap concerts also. Just saying. But the other ones aren't much better. Like, there is Epicenter. Used to be Carolina Rebellion. We swapped one generic name for another. There is Louder Than Life. Who knows how loud life is? I don't even know what that means. But, you know. Incarceration. I say no more. So, the names are tailored for just casual, fair weather rock and metal fans, as is the lineup most of the time. If you see bands on there, on the lineups that you don't recognize, they're probably playing a side stage, and they're probably just playing for exposure and a pretty good meal, I would imagine. The US festivals, they don't believe in curating bands for their survival in the future. I think that's why Ozfest died off, and I think that's why the Rockstar Mayhem, I think it was called Rockstar Mayhem Fest, died off also. Because, you know, when your biggest bands, you know, either go away or, you know, you just don't want to repeat yourself every year, you don't survive. And many of the European festivals are going strong 20 years later. Take the Wacken Open Air, for instance. I can give you an example. Monomarth has been a band for about 30 years. They've been playing the Wacken Fest off and on for about 30 years. They started off on side stages. They made it to the main stage in the afternoon. Then they made it to the main stage at night. And now they headline every so often when they have a new album out. That's called curation. That's why these festivals live, because they curate bands to play and feature installments and never have to worry about the headliners. Because in 20 years, Iron Maiden, Metallica, AC/DC, and I guess to an extent you could say, I don't know, Def Leppard, maybe, or a band of that stature. They're not going to be around, and there's not going to be any bands to fill the spots of these festivals. But in curating your bands that play your festivals and putting them in front of large amounts of people, you can ensure that your festival will have headliners for years and years to come. I mean, in 20 years, I bet you the bands I just mentioned, some of the newer bands I just mentioned, probably won't be around either. I know Wacken Open Air had Parkway Drive headline a couple years ago. I think the last installment of the Wacken Fest before COVID. It was controversial. I remember reading comments like, why the hell are these guys headlining? Now, I'm not a Parkway Drive fan either, but I totally get why they did it, because they need to curate bands as headliners to continue on. And also, to the European Festival credit, they are all about the lifestyle versus the US, who is all about the cosplay. I'm not talking about the small festivals, which I'll get to in a little bit, but, you know, just the Danny Wimmer ones and the Blue Ridge Rock Fest. That's the main ones I'm talking about, because they take up most of the attention from US press. Getting back to European festivals, you know they have some serious talent that they have over there. When Merciful Fate is playing a lot of the festivals over there this year, and they're like third or fourth down on the bill. There's like 2 or 3, maybe 4 other bands that are playing after Merciful Fate on the night they're playing, which amazes me, because Merciful Fate is a legendary band. They're huge. And I bet you if they played a US Fest, they would probably be early afternoon on one of the main stages, or possibly a side stage headliner. Sad to say, but it's probably the way it would go. So let's go to grievance number 3 here. Is does this really help the small bands? I don't believe it does, really, except for exposure on a poster. I would say 85 to 90% of your festival goers are just there for the festival name alone and the experience, and they just hang out at the main stages because they think that's where the real talented bands are, and they don't want to lose their spot. You know, they're not going to buy the small bands merch because they want money for beer or food or, you know, paying your Uber driver or, you know, whatever the case may be. So these bands really, I don't think, get too much out of playing these big fests on the side stages, and not to mention, you know, it messes up their tour routing big time because they can't play a certain amount of days within a certain amount of miles before their next festival appearance. So, for instance, if let's say Market Band Overload played Welcome to Rockville, which would be awesome, by the way. I'm not downing the opportunity if everyone gets it. I'm just saying, you know, looking at it from the outside, it doesn't really seem like it's the best as far as financials go. So if Mark's Band Overload played Welcome to Rockville, and the next one, they had another festival to play in North Carolina at the Epicenter, for instance, they would probably have to drive way out west and then come back to North Carolina, or drive way up north and come back down to North Carolina, instead of just, you know, playing a couple shows in Georgia and South Carolina on the way to the North Carolina show. I don't know. It just doesn't really seem fair to hold these smaller bands who really don't sell any tickets to the festival they're playing to hold them to the same standard as the bands that you hire to bring people in. I don't really get why they are held to this standard, but you know, if I was a festival promoter, I'd be like, knock yourself out, guys. Do what makes sense for you and your money. You know, go play the smaller venues in between, you know, 2 hours apart or whatever. You know, maximize your profits from, you know, the shows that you're playing, and then we'll see you next weekend. That's how I would run it, because I'm telling you, if you have Guns N' Roses playing one night and you're Overload, there might be that 1 or 2, maybe 3 people who buy a ticket just to see Overload, and you'll watch Guns N' Roses later. But I'm pretty much sure the majority is buying the ticket for Guns N' Roses. To use as an example of scope, as far as like how big the bands are from the headliner to the side stages. How can we curate bands to play festivals for us in the future? The answer is go to the regional fest. They're popping up everywhere. They have awesome headliners. Psycholox Vegas is probably the biggest of the small festivals, even though it's not really a small festival by any means. They have Merciful Fate playing the only U.S. appearance this year, which is absolutely killer, and hopefully they'll come and do a U.S. tour next year. But yeah, they're popping up all over the place. There's Hell's Heroes in Texas. There's Disciples of Crom up in Pennsylvania. There is Ripplefest, Texas. There's Decibel Music and Beer Fest in Philly and LA. There's Frost and Fire every once in a while here and there. Sometimes in the US, sometimes overseas. I played one called Heavy Mountain a few years ago that was amazing here in Asheville. There's one in Atlanta called Slaughter Q. That's really cool. I know a couple bands who have played that. So, you know, there's all kinds of like little local regional fests that have really good talent playing, and hopefully, you know, some of these guys will be migrating over to the bigger fest one day and showing Fairweather fans that, you know, just because they never heard of you don't mean you're legit. I think that's the problem, is people just, if you never heard of them, they must not be any good because I've never heard of them. It's just the wrong attitude to take. Metal music, you know, has many styles. There's extreme, there's satanic, there's fast, there's slow, there's heavy, there's I would call some of it fake, you know, fake heavy, try too hard kind of stuff, overproduced, you know. But getting off topic here, yeah, just if you want to see bands make it into the future in 20 years, be the you know, the future headliners, make sure you support these small festivals, buy their merch. You know, I'm pretty sure that the venues do not keep any of the merch of these bands playing versus why you're paying $40 and $50 for Iron Maiden and Metallica t-shirts, because the venues take a cut, and they're not going to lose any money. You are, so therefore you pay way overpriced what they're worth. You know, you get an Iron Maiden shirt for $45, $50. You can buy an Overload shirt for 10 or 15. Might be just as cool. Although the Maiden shirts are pretty awesome, and I have bought many $45 Maiden shirts. I'm guilty. But I still don't like paying $45 for a t-shirt regardless. Hope I haven't taken up too much of your time. I hope this has been kind of a, food for thought kind of rant, per se. There's a lot more, but I would bore you with minor details and stuff, so we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, so remember, during this festival season, whether you go to a corporate fest or a regional independent fest, stay safe, stay hydrated, and stay heavy. And we will talk to you next time.
Dude, Jason, thank you so much for the Heavy Metal Wasteland this week. You know, you and I talked about this a few weeks back when I was on your show, the Aelhorn podcast. And, you know, I very much feel the same way. A lot of the U.S. festival things, when they're like 3 and 4 days long, it just does a disservice to a lot of the bands playing the shows, unless you're a huge band like, you know, a Metallica or a Judas Priest or somebody like that, which is when I saw them last year at Louder Than Life. But yeah, it's a huge deal, man. And like, I just really do wish that, you know, American festivals could be as big as like a Wacken festival or anything like that, or a Bloodstock, you know, or what was now Download Fest, which was Donington Festival back in the day. So hell yeah, dude. You and I share a lot of the same viewpoints, let's just say that. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into some old school Black Knife. We are gonna go back to the Spellcaster album. This is Full Moon Suicide.
Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Hail Mary, full of grace,
right, metalheads, this is a Reforged episode, and let me give you the rundown of a Reforged episode here really fast. This is a person who has been on the show previous, but it's been a while. It's been some time. So this week, I have Hellwuv from the band Black Knife, among other things, Glass Coffin and so on and so forth. Dude, what the fuck is up?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, man, dude, I am doing pretty fucking good. What can I say? I mean, just everything in general has just been awesome as of late, music scene-wise. I think it's, now that the pandemic is somewhat over, I say somewhat because, there's still people, I mean, you still have the risk of getting COVID, but it's a lot more, accepted on how you should do things and how you should take care of yourself, etc. So now that we're out playing shows again, how the fuck's everything going with that?
Oh, well, man, we are going full steam ahead. We're trying to make up for any lost time, and we just got the foot on the gas all the way. So we've got another drummer who's joined us, and he's jumped right in when we needed a drummer, so we never really missed a beat in shows. We were kind of between drummers, and we recorded 2 splits. And then we just kind of picked right back up where we left off, man. We're booked on several fests and an East Coast tour and kind of a Midwest tour, and we're just going full steam ahead. So everything's looking awesome for us so far, man.
Definitely. And when you guys came on the last time, you all had done it was the Whip Striker Black Knife split, and then shortly thereafter, it was the Ritual Moon split.
Yeah.
And then you guys released Murder Season.
Yeah. So, Murder Season was kind of a weird one for us because it came out during pandemic. So it was kind of a weird one, but we did happen to grow as a band during pandemic because I'm pretty annoying online, and I'm just on there yelling all the time to just try to not lose that momentum that we've already been working really hard to get. And, who could predict, the way of the world, the way shit happened. But, we were fortunate enough to keep kind of growing and just keep throwing content out there and keeping people engaged. And, man, so we forged ahead, and, we're still doing our thing. And then right after that, we recorded a little bit of material for 2 splits. We weren't exactly sure if we'd be able to play any of that stuff out. And now, here we are. So those are kind of getting released slowly out into the world. But one of them's the split with Pastor Cross, which is, Chev, from Unchained Tapes that you know.
Yeah, it's in my hand as we speak.
Yeah.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
I got the tape right here.
Hell yeah. Nice. So one of them was with him, which we're one of our, actually 2 of our East Coast, shows we're going to do are going to be with Pastor Cross. We were hoping to do a full on tour with those guys, but just, semantics and everything just didn't quite work out that way, but we did manage to wrangle them for 2 shows. So we're pretty pumped on that. New Jersey and, Philly. And, the Philly show is going to be a basement show. So it should just be like balls to the wall, just fucking insanity. So we're really excited for that. So
yeah, it sounds like it's straight up return to the days of hardcore type shit.
Yeah.
Which is awesome because, we're both in Kentucky. I'm in Louisville, you're in Lexington-ish, and that stuff kind of just doesn't happen here anymore unless you're in almost like a hipster band, it seems like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty true, man. Around Lexington, I know at least there was a kind of a sweet spot time when things were kind of, happening with basement shows and stuff, and they just didn't. And, like you said, now it's just more like indie bands and that kind of stuff. So we're pretty excited to get in the basement and just like sweat it out and just fucking balls to the wall, just get back to the old style of doing that. So we're pretty pumped on that, but yeah, it should be fun, man. Some really, exciting, like insane bands just in a basement, just fucking going full throttle. So
definitely
pretty pumped for it. Yeah.
I would be so interested in coming, to a show that was like that because it's been forever since I've been to anything like that where, you pack 50 people in somebody's either house or basement, and just go all fucking out.
Yeah. for sure. And I have a house with a basement now. My buddy was like, so when you doing shows? I'm like, never, man. I love that people do it, but I'm just like, I just don't know if I could have the balls to let people run wild through my house. But so much respect for the people that keep it alive. It's
You're absolutely
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
It's cool when you're trashing somebody else's fucking place, but when it's yours, you don't want to do it. I get that.
Yeah. Well, I try not to trash, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's you can't speak for everybody. Some knuckleheads show up sometimes.
Sometimes things just happen like that.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you just got to be the demolition man. You just do your job and things get destroyed, right?
I mean, sometimes, yeah.
So I think we talked about this the last time, but I want to bring this back up again. Because looking at the Ritual Moon split and the Bastard Cross split and Murder Season here on the Bandcamp page, did you do the artwork for these?
I did let's see. No, on those I didn't. A lot of those, I think I actually reached out to another artist and I just have a lot of shit going on all the time. I've gotten into screen printing our own shirts. I've got into, just full on booking the band all the time. And then, as you know, every show needs a promotional thing on a Facebook event page, a flyer, this or that. And so just without, and 2 other side projects. So I'm just so busy that I kind of just, outsourced it on a couple things. Okay. And, I have done that in the past and will still, probably do that stuff here and there and on shirts and stuff. If I ever can squeeze in time, it's just, finding the time to, to do it. It's just been pretty hectic. So
okay, definitely, and that's pretty cool with the screen printing deal.
Yeah,
because I've seen some of them on the Instagram page where you've had some like crazy colors of things, or it's like tie-dye prints or something like that. Was that a thing with you?
Yeah, it was. So that's another thing. We're very much a DIY band and have always been and stuff, and very kind of rooted in that punk ethos and whatnot. But that's kind of the style. Is we were playing shows, and every show, we're selling out of shirts because it seems like people want to buy shirts more than they buy records. And either way, we appreciate all of it. But we're just selling them, and I'm like taking this money and giving it to another guy and buying shirts every time. And then after a certain point, I'm just like, well, fuck it, man. I'm gonna look up some stuff on YouTube. I'm gonna take a chance. I might fail. I don't know. But I bought some very basic screen printing stuff and just started kind of going for it. And so like I said, when I'm not sweating it out doing songs and that and this and that, I'm doing like the sweatshop thing in the basement and doing like 12 hours of screen printing at a time, and just kind of putting it all into the band, in one way or another. So
for sure,
yeah,
which is super cool because I've been in that mode before with Overload, where when we had first started, I was screen printing our own shirts as well, or like, where you could afford to buy like, 10 shirts at Walmart in the 5-packs, right? And and they're always white shirts, and you just seem to just run the fucking shirt, and it's just like one color ink or mixing the ink and just sitting there, and whatever color you get is what you get, right?
Yeah.
So,
which I think is awesome, by the way. I love playing with that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen bands out there screen print their own shirts and use like bleach, like on black sweatshirts and shit like that to give it like this kind of weird effect as well. So
yeah,
the DIY thing is totally awesome to me, and it goes back to seeing things like, have you ever watched American Hardcore?
Yes. I have.
And okay, so you're going to know the exact moment what I'm talking about is with Henry Rollins, as he talks about they were cutting apart record jackets of like the Beatles and all these famous people to see how the jackets were made, so they could run their own stencils off at like Kinko's.
Yeah, I love that stuff, man. That's what I've always done. Since before, way before Black Knife, I had a little indie label and still do that I do. Mostly just to release our own stuff these days. But yeah, just doing stuff at literally a BP gas station's Xerox machine, and it was very archaic and it looked very DIY and whatever. And it's kind of funny as it's full circle. Like kids go for that look now. They're on their like $1 million computers trying to make things look like they've been done on a BP gas station printer or whatever. But I've always, it's just always been the style, when you just don't have a lot of money and you just want to get your music and your stuff out there, it's just, cheaper and easier and just however you have to do it,
Now, here comes the real question here. Say you've reissued any of this material. Did you change when you could afford to do it professionally? And I quote professionally, when I say that, like, right. You're able to go through like a disc maker's or a CD Baby or even a cheaper, like Easy Disc or whoever out there that prints CDs. Did you update the previous like way you did things on new presses of?
I have not. I'm not really a guy that does a lot of repress of like old stuff. Most of that old stuff was just kind of fuck around project stuff when I'm talking literally 20 years ago.
Okay.
When, and a lot of that, I kind of just like throwing it out limited, and when it's gone, and, just sort of letting it go out into the world like that. So I really haven't had a lot of experience doing a lot of repress stuff, to be honest.
Definitely. Well, that's always interesting to me because, I'm always one, because I love getting a band's entire discography.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be, I like to get it all on one type of media. Like if I can get everything on vinyl, I'd love to have it on vinyl. If I could get it on CDs, I'll go with that. If I could get it on tapes, like as long as I have a stitch of it, I'd like to have it all on one. But that's what
I have done that with. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. What was that?
Oh, I was just going to say, I've actually done that. I'm a weird OCD collector, and just what you said reminded me of my bolt thrower money hole I went down, where I was like, oh shit, I've got these records, but I don't have these records. And I had to go down that rabbit hole of just getting everything,
And sometimes it's awful because like you get bands with different lineage, like Venom, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get like classic Venom, where it's like Abaddon, Mantis, and Kronos, and then you get like the primeval Venom with Demolition Man, Abaddon, and Mantis, and then you get it when like Kronos comes back. You see what I'm saying here? It's like you have different facets of each band, and you're just like, if you have tapes of one set and records of another and CDs of another, it's like, fuck, I gotta consolidate this somehow.
Right. Yeah. I'm very much, like kind of I like the way things, and it's probably a slight OCD thing where I kind of have to have the completist aspect of it being like, okay, they all have to be here. And also in this format, I've got this many, I'm missing 60%. It's like the shit that keeps me up at 3 a.m. and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, but my brain's kind of high strung like that, like, so
I definitely get it, and I definitely understand. But hey, we're going to take a real quick break.
Cool.
Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code MetalForge to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now. Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soulgrinder Zine, an independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. I do have a question that relates back to what we just talked about with collections.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have anything currently that you own multiple formats of multiple collections of?
Yes. This is this is the fucking weird one that you're not gonna maybe expect. And this definitely
it's Miley Cyrus, isn't it?
No, actually, no. It's Tom Jones. It's Tom Jones. It's just as fucking weird and random. But it started as a weird rabbit hole thing where, like, this weird little tick where every time I go to, like, any kind of, like, thrift store or any kind of, like, resale place, if I see a Tom Jones record, I'm like, oh, shit, they're cheap. And I like Tom Jones, and it's just background music, and it started out that way. And then, like I said, that weird, like, I got to have all of this collection thing started. And then it's like you're going down the Discogs rabbit hole and you're looking up fucking $300 Tom Jones imports and all this stuff. And I stopped myself there. I'm like, dude, no, like, stop. But it got to a point where, but I have like an obscene amount of Tom Jones records, so it's kind of funny. It's like 52 records or something. So
it is pretty funny, but it's not unusual.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
See, that's the one time I get to make a fucking Tom Jones joke here on the
Hell
Metal Forge, right?
Yeah, you were waiting to work that one in. You're like, I hope he goes with the Tom Jones thing. Hell yeah.
Yes, it's exactly what
Nice.
it was. Which is interesting.
Perfect.
So you have like copies of CDs that you have vinyl of the Tom Jones stuff. Is that what we're getting at here?
Well, mostly it's a vinyl thing with him. I don't have multiple formats, but I do have duplicates of some albums because I saw them and I'm like, it's $1. And like,
Right.
what if this one's scratched and this one's like
That's
so
the
it just-
thrift
it's-
thing, though. That's
Yes.
that's a total record thrift shop deal where
Yeah.
you could get a scratched copy of something and spend $1 on it and it'd be totally fine because the jacket kicks ass.
right.
And you might have a pristine copy that you bought for $3 and the jacket sucks. So $4 in, you have a great copy of something.
There you go. I also found what I found out was like a $70 record. It's a Q&A with Tom Jones, which I thought was so interesting and weird. It's like like side A, you ask Tom Jones whatever your burning question is, and then you flip side B over and he answers it. And it's just like a spoken word weird. And I found it for like really cheap and it's bizarre and
That
awesome.
sounds
So
like
of course
a lot
I had to get
flipping.
that. Yeah. I think it was just like one of those back in the day, and they just etched it onto vinyl for like, I guess the Tom Jones fan club thing or something. And now it's just probably worth some amount of money. So anyway, just
Not bad,
fucking
though.
random. Yeah.
So what do you own multiple formats of the same collections of?
Slayer records, a lot of that. Because I had a lot of those on tape and CD. Slayer has always been my like undisputed, like them and early Sepultura, like favorite thrash stuff. And then later on, I'm like, well, I don't have it on vinyl, so now I have to have it on vinyl, and it goes down that whole rabbit hole. So I'd have to say Slayer is probably the biggest one.
Right on. Yeah, I have, I'm like with the Metallica stuff. I've got multiple copies of things on CD, on vinyl. I have I know I have the entire discography on both CD and vinyl. And I have multiple copies of certain albums on vinyl, like Kill 'Em All. Because like I have a 94 CD, which is the first, but they don't want to tell you is that's the first time it was actually remastered. And then, you get like the 2008 Warner Brothers remaster, and then you get the box set. And so, yeah, I totally get what you're saying with that. So, which is totally cool because it's a thing of like, okay, do I want to take the CD and listen to the CD, or am I going to stay at home and listen to the deal? And I'm sure you have digital copies of everything as well.
Yeah. Well, I call it the car copy because that's where I do a lot of my CD listening, and I'm buying a lot more CDs these days because I moved outside of Lexington, and I listen to Metal Forge, as I told you before, because I've got that commute now, and
Right.
I look forward to like checking out the new episodes, and then of course any new thing that comes out, I'll grab the CD just to have for the car, and then I'll probably still get the record, if I see the band, support the band, and grab the vinyl and all that stuff. But yeah, CD is the car copy in my opinion now, so that's how that's working for me.
That's the thing that I love about Bandcamp is that when you buy a CD, a tape, a record, 98% of the people you buy from will throw, and even on some actual like merchandise, some shirts, patches, etc., a lot of people will throw in a digital copy of the album.
Yeah,
which I absolutely love that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love just paying it forward to the fans like that. That's really cool.
Right. And
So.
while some people, I think I saw a post here the other day about the revenue share type shit from Bandcamp. Yeah.
Yeah. You've probably seen me railing about that a little bit too.
Yeah.
And I don't want to come off like Lars or anything, being too whatever. But there's got to be somewhere in between here and there, to where I don't mind if they take a little bit of whatever because they have a business to run, and that's fair enough and all that. But like with us, I don't know if we're just, we fucked up on our settings somewhere. I don't know. But it seems like about every third or fourth purchase, they just take all of it.
See,
and I'm just like,
that's weird.
That's weird. Yeah, that's kind of fucked.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I don't know, man.
maybe I don't see it because we hardly sell any fucking thing on Bandcamp, but
Well, we're not selling like hand over fist on there or anything like that. But you do notice when you sell an entire like a $20 or something, and they're like, oh, we're keeping it, but just because tax. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? That's a little weird.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would much rather use Bandcamp than like Spotify.
Oh yeah. And and for all my bitching and everything, I'm still going to use it because it's trusted, and it's a way for, more than anything, it's an easiest way for people to get your stuff right now. And that's who we care about, is the fans.
Exactly.
And we're not obsessed about the money end of it anyway. It's just something I do grumble about every now and then, is I'm just like, dude, like really? Like
definitely.
But
so I want to go ahead and ask you some other questions here before we kick out today. And I know we've been here 20 minutes, but it's cool. It's been an awesome ride so far. You mentioned playing some festival shows.
Yeah.
And this has always been like a thing for me as I've gotten older, and I'm not sure how old you are. I'm pretty sure we're near the same age and stuff, but when I was growing up, the festival shows were a day. Unless it was a super big event like a Woodstock or some shit like that, maybe. I mean, even I believe Lollapaloozas were maybe only a day then too. But like now we're in the world of 3 and 4 day festivals.
Yeah.
How do you feel about stuff like that?
Oh, exhausted, old. Like it's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. I always have fun when I go to them, but I'm also like by day 4, day whatever, I'm like, fuck. I'm just like, that's a lot of getting your ass kicked and jumping around. And I'm not a spring chicken anymore, like we were saying. And I'm like, dude, I remember we went to the Hell's Head Bash 2 in particular. I have the poster right here, so it can give me the date. It was September 4th, 2015. And it was a couple days, and Jesus Christ, dude, it was at the Agora in Cleveland, and the AC stopped working.
Oh shit!
Oh, I don't know if they ever had AC actually. It's like an old building, and dude, yeah, by like day, whatever, it was just like we were drinking, but people couldn't even get drunk because they were just sweating it out. Which I don't even drink now, but then I did, and but yeah, it's like we were so fucking dehydrated and drinking so much that people couldn't even like get buzzed. And they were just people just pouring sweat everywhere. It's just like a lot at one point,
It almost makes it uncomfortable is what I guess what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Here.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I went to Louder Than Life for 1 day, and and it was at the end of September of last year, and I felt like I was going to die then. And just because it was just so long of a day when music starts at, 12 in the afternoon and goes until midnight.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a spring chicken either, but to me, like, I get, like, the whole thing of wanting to spend 3 and 4 days, but, like, for one, I can't justify the cost.
Yeah, I get why they're asking that and stuff, because you got bands with guarantees, I'm sure, and just, paying to have bands flown in and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's a lot, man. It's especially if you're flying somewhere and you have to pay for like flight, hotel, like an all-in cost, it's crazy. I really would have loved to have gone to Psycho Las Vegas this year, like Warthog's playing, Merciful Fate, all these fucking really sick bands, but I'm just like, man, like I'm already asking off to do my own tours, my own stuff, and then you're talking flying to the other side of the United States, hotel, it's a lot. So I get that.
It absolutely is. And then again, depending on the airline you choose, you've really got to watch it, because, if you're flying like Allegiant or anything like that, it might be a late flight and you might miss part of the show.
Yeah.
Which sucks too.
This is true. I remember I saw a legendary show with Motorhead, Dio, and Iron Maiden, and I missed part of Motorhead's set because the guys at the door, only the first and last time I saw Motorhead, and they were like patting people down at the door doing the whole security thing, and I was just like, what? I was like, dude, I am fucking missing Motorhead right now. Like, they're on stage. Like, let's go. But yeah, there's nothing worse than that. Like, when you get in, you've missed like something, you drove, you paid, you got a hotel, you did the whole thing. It's nothing worse than having to actually miss it after that,
Oh, for sure. And what a lineup that was.
Yes.
Motorhead, Dio, and Maiden. I'm not a huge Dio fan personally, but, I am a massive Motorhead fan and a massive Iron Maiden fan. But fuck, that's insanity.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And you've made it when Motorhead opens for you. That was always like my key takeaway with that. I was like, Motorhead, because it was one of those, I'm like, who's opening? I mean, Maiden's not going to open and all this and that, but I'm like, fuck, dude, Motorhead is the opening band, like that's just says so much about your level of success when Motorhead's opening for you,
for sure.
Yeah.
That's always an interesting thing to me too, is like, it must have been really weird for Lemmy to write songs that people made famous.
Yeah.
Like Ozzy, for example. Or do like the Garage Inc. thing where Metallica did the Motorheadache EP, where they did the 4 Motorhead songs in prep for Lemmy's 50th birthday, and then they release it, so they got to pay the royalties on whatever they're going to sell of that. It's like, I could only imagine like how much money he made off of other people playing his music than Motorhead actually did. And don't get me wrong, Motorhead still has done a ton of sales, but when it comes to people like Ozzy and Metallica doing your shit, I mean, I'm sure it's a whole lot fucking more.
Oh yeah, man. I actually just watched Some Kind of Monster literally yesterday for the first time. I've never seen it.
Wow.
I heard about it forever. I've never, I finally got around to watching it, and I was just like, holy shit. But the one part where they got the new bass guy and they're signing him on, and they're like, here's $1 million just to sign up. And they make that kind of money, but when they're just saying that kind of stuff out loud, they're like, hey man, this is just a startup just to get you going, buy you some new clothes and whatnot. Here's $1 million. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and then it just really puts into perspective, like the level, and that, like, on paper, but it's pretty wild just to think about that level of,
and then they proceed to tell him, but your vote is only going to count for 20%.
Right.
You won't get a full voting, you won't get to vote as a full member until a certain time. And they renegotiated where each person ended up getting 25%, and the management company Q Prime was the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow. It's like, dude, that movie to me, I saw that like shortly after it came out, and I have such a fond memory of going to South by Southwest in 2004. And my drummer and keyboard player at the time went to go see it, but I decided to go to a show instead. Yeah. And my drummer, he's like, dude, it's bad. Like they are like at each other's throats. He's like, we cannot talk to each other the way we do anymore because we're going to end up like them. Like, like it's the adage of hating the people you play with, but you do it just to make some money.
Yeah, it's a really wild dynamic to watch, man. Because like I said, I'd heard of it forever and never actually got to sit down and watch it until it was on Netflix, and I was like, fuck it, I'll seen it around forever and checked it out, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, it blows your mind to think like they're just on that level of like millions of dollars. They've got this guy that's like their psychiatrist that's there that they pay $40,000 a month, I think they said.
Yes.
Just to be in the room and tell them to be nice to each other and stuff. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, it's just such a like machine at that point,
Yeah. $40 fucking $1,000. That's insanity. That's more than some people make in a year.
Yeah. And it was funny when they fire him and they're like, we're done with you. And he's like, now guys, let's talk it out. I'm like, yeah, of course you want to talk it out. Yeah. Yeah. So
anyway, but that whole deal is like insane to me. Not like the whole therapist thing, because I'm totally an advocate for mental health and all of that shit and everything.
Yeah,
and not being a fucking absolute dick. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
To people, but like just what you said, some of the shit that's in there is just like, what, really?
It's really wild when they pull the curtain back and you get to kind of just see what they're dealing with. They're like, man, you know what? I've got to get on a fucking jet ski and think about this on a private island for a while. I'll get back to you in 6 months. And I'm like, what? It's so fucking just like wild.
One of the funny things about that though is they talk about, we're like, well, what's Jason's like the MTV icon moment.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, what's Jason's involvement in all this? And the person from fucking either, I don't know if he was from Q Prime or if he was from MTV or whoever he was. He's like, well, as far as I'm concerned, he lost his icon status when he quit Metallica. It's like, whoa. It's like, come on.
And they're all high-fiving each other and laughing. They're like, fuck that guy. And he's been in the band for like all these years. I was like, Jesus, man. Like there's some cold dudes, man. They were like, fuck him. Oh, well.
The odd thing about this is Rob Trujillo now has been in a band longer than Cliff and Jason combined.
Yeah, it's wild to think about that way, but yeah, you're right. I mean, time gets by, man. It's kind of crazy to think of it that way, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's weird stuff, I kind of wish Slayer would do something like a video like that, like a tell-all video of Slayer.
Yes and no. I mean, it would be kind of cool from a fly on the wall perspective, but it's, I've seen some stuff with Tom Araya where he's like, yeah, but all this aside, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I was like, the fucking record skipped. And I was like, wait a minute, dude. Like, I don't know. There's a separation of, your art, the art and the artist. And, there's escapism involved and you can, it's art. You can do whatever and say this, but mean that. But like, really, dude? Like, my Lord and Savior, and I'm like, all right, dude, like, I don't know. And I was like, I didn't really need to know that he was like a hardcore Christian at one point, or it's kind of like when some of the Ramones came out being like very right wing.
Oh yeah.
Pro whatever. And I don't know, man. It's like when you see behind the curtain sometimes a little bit, you're like, whoa, what the fuck?
It's damaging. It's absolutely damaging.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with the same thing with Dave Mustaine in recent years. He became a born again Christian. Now he's a super right wing fucking whatever you want to call him. I'm going to say nut job.
Yeah. It's safe to say, yeah.
I mean, and it's just like, come on, Dave. Peace fucking sells, but who's buying? And you're going to be this?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, dude.
Come on, man. Yeah. It's like,
aside from all the political shit, have fun opening for 500 Death Punch, Dave. I mean, so we have derailed. You realize this?
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, that's one thing I like about this episode is that it's a lot of laughs so far, at least from where I'm standing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's all about having fun. Fuck.
So,
welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey guys, Wrestling Steve of the Wrestling Steve Show here. So if you're currently listening to the Metal Forge with Mark Jackson, then you understand that Mark Jackson has a pretty discerning taste when it comes to music as a whole. You'll also understand that he has a discerning taste for professional wrestling, just like me. My show is called The Wrestling Steve Show. I talk about modern and classic pro wrestling in a completely unbiased, unfiltered way. Be sure to check me out on all available podcasting platforms. That is The Wrestling Steve Show. And I am the host, Wrestling Steve. Just remember, like Confucius said, man who goes through turnstile in Thailand is going to Bangkok. Pro wrestling.
Hey metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby. We're not spring chickens anymore. We don't like the 4-day festivals.
Yes.
Okay, so with everything out in the world today, media-wise, I know you're a busy guy and so on and so forth. Do you get into the things like the Star Wars TV shows and Stranger Things and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's usually when, me and the wife, we have our story time, and I can really be an old man, and tell my age when I do that. But yeah, that's when we're, our time when we kind of hang out and just get to catch up on bullshit. I'm a huge Star Trek nerd, actually. That's my thing. Star Trek, whatever. And so, maybe more so than the wars. So that's my thing. I watch every episode of all of it. And I've seen every Star Trek related everything. And so there's new Star Trek stuff out now. And I've been watching a lot of that.
Hell yeah.
Just total geek shit,
Definitely.
But yeah.
I recently watched Picard. And
yeah, I did too.
I was like, holy shit.
It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, I can't wait for season 3. And I know it's going to be the last season of it. Mm-hmm. And I understand why, but it's like, oh, come on. But it's just so fucking good.
It is, man. And I like that they gave him his own kind of like standalone thing. It's part of Star Trek, but it's removed. It's kind of its own thing. It's pretty awesome.
I agree. So, and if anybody out there listening today is a fan of it and has not watched it yet, I am definitely recommending it because you definitely need to watch it.
I can back that.
So I haven't started watching Strange New Worlds. How's that?
It's pretty awesome so far. It's the dude from Hell on Wheels, the guy that plays Bohannon or whatever.
Right.
That dude is Captain Pike and like a whole new thing. They've still got Spock involved, but like a different captain, and it's pretty cool. It's a lot of like different away missions and weird shit like that where they're on these new planets with like the fancy HD newest technology that we have now to make it all cool and everything. So it's a fun watch. It's a good way to waste the time,
Definitely. So it's actually like a pickup of like the episodes leading up to the pilot episode of the original series then.
Yeah. So it's kind of pre-Kirk type stuff. So
definitely, because I know in the pilot episode you still have Captain Pike.
Yeah. And so what's kind of cool is they sort of intro Kirk, but he's just like this like geeky dude that's just there. He's got like a little pencil mustache and he's just in the room and they're like, oh yeah, that's Ensign Kirk or whatever he is at that point. So he's like working his way toward that still. So it's kind of cool. It's sort of a backstory deal.
That's awesome. Yeah. When I was out in Hollywood almost 2 months ago now, that was one of the things that we did the celebrity death tour type thing where we went to a few different cemeteries and got to see Anton Yelchin's grave.
Oh, nice.
From, the newer Star Trek films.
Yeah.
The Chris Pine films.
That's badass, man. Yeah, we're actually Black Knife is going to the West Coast for the first time for the band and me ever next year too. So pretty excited for that. Yeah. So we've already got some LA stuff in the works and get on the early hype train for that, I guess. So.
For sure. So what do you all got going on out there if you can let the cat out of the bag?
Well, it's going to be at least a year out, but we're going to just do a few shows out there. So yeah, we've kind of just been throwing little hints here and there, and I guess just kind of letting the cat out a little bit. But yeah, nothing really hardcore in stone, but we've definitely been making some contacts and friends out there who have been wanting us to come play, and we're pretty excited, man. I've never been to the West Coast. I've only been to the Midwest and the East with my old band and stuff. So as far as me personally, I have never been. So we're going to do a lot of like vacation-y, touristy stuff, which I know you just did pretty recent. So I'm excited to try that out myself. So
and it's a completely other world there. And that's one of the things I've really liked about the dynamic shift after COVID, especially in Louisville. Is a lot of our shows here used to end at like 2 a.m. and shit like that.
Right.
Which, don't get me wrong, on a Friday, that's not bad. But when you're playing at 2 a.m. in a bar that's open till 4, it's hardcore. And, so Louisville has always been kind of a late town. But, when we played in LA 10 years ago, it was just like 11:30 and like, the whiskey's like shutting down and shit like that. It's like it's not going past like midnight or nothing. And you have you can tell it's like the vampire crowd that's drinking at the Rainbow at 11:30. Yeah, because everybody's turning in and shit. It's like it's not in certain places. It's not a super late town, Which
that's really weird.
Which I've always thought is awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of the opposite of what I would think. You would think like. LA, they're just fucking partying all night and doing all that kind of stuff.
Sleeps kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that I've loved about going out there is like, it's not a super late town when it comes to doing things. You do a lot of stuff during the day and you get to relax a lot at night and it's chill at night. Yeah. That's pretty cool to me.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I think Lexington's slowly getting that way. I know a couple of years ago it was like, man, like shit's not even starting until midnight kind of thing. And then it's like 11, 12 at night before stuff even begins, like sound check and stuff at like midnight. And I'm like, dudes, all right, guys. So it was always kind of a late town too. I feel like though here these days things are kind of getting a little more streamlined and stuff. So it's kind of cool that way as well.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. So, outside of, touring and stuff like that, doing, like you said, you're going to go there to do some vacationing as well. Like always like, hey, look, it's the Hollywood sign or it's the Chinese theater and shit, or it's the fucking Viper Room, I mean, if you could vacation anywhere, where would you want to go vacation at?
If I could just go anywhere, probably Tokyo. That's like a dream destination that I would just love to go and just take it all in and just have the sensory overload. I've never traveled abroad. That was another thing. Right before COVID, we got my wife and I got our passports and we were like, fuck it. We're not getting any younger. It's, it's not the moon. It's attainable. You just have to save money and save, money and plan. And so we did. We saved a bunch of money. We were going to plan and then COVID hit. and we were going to go to France. That was going to be our first out of the country thing, and I think we ended up buying a privacy fence for our loud, annoying neighbors, and just like that was it. That was, you know.
Wait a second.
So
Hey, pump the brakes, partner. Wait a second. Did you just say our loud and annoying neighbors?
I did. So yeah. Well, see, here's the thing about being an old guy. So I've got these neighbors. I don't care how loud you are or what you want to do. You can stand on your head and like shove beer up your ass. I don't care, whatever. Just do it in your house. I had like this kid that lived next door to me who did it in his driveway all day, every day. Like he never went inside. Like even in the winter, I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You're like trying to watch TV or something and like your pictures are falling off the wall and this dude's blasting like Freebird. He had outdoor speakers and he would just play like this real annoying douchey shit. And I was like, dude, like, and everybody used to joke about, dude, fuck him, set Black Knife up in the back porch and start firing back. I'm like, no, dude, they'll want to come over and party. They'll think we're, you know, I'm like, no, I don't want to like engage with these people. So like, so it's just funny because I was totally the old man yelling off his back porch, like, fucking turn your shit down, kids, like that, you know, like, it was so funny though. But like, yeah, they were just like all hours of the night. And these days I'm sober too. So it hits a little different when you're older, you're sober and you're like, fuck dude, I'm just trying to like watch TV. I've been working all day, you know? So.
Oh, 100%, man.
Yeah.
You know, that's like when back in February at the High Spirit Savage Master Black Knife show that I went to.
Yeah.
That was just like, I totally wanted to drink, and I'm just like, but I don't want to drink, you know? It's like, what? It's like, it's like, it's like, I'm at a bar. What do I do? It's like,
yeah.
And you know,
Yeah,
I had
weird.
an hour drive home and shit like that after the show. And it's just like, fuck, what do I do? It's like, fuck it. Give me a Red Bull. At least I can pretend.
Yeah. Well, it's that whole, like, what do I do with my hands? That thing.
Yeah.
I remember, like, I would go to a bar and we played our first shows and stuff, and I kind of cut alcohol out, and I'm just like, fuck, dude. I'm just like walking around with like a seltzer water or something, just feeling like a weirdo. But I don't know, man. You do it enough, it becomes muscle memory, just like the other did, you know. And I don't even think about it now. But there for a while, it is kind of weird. You don't know, you know, you're in that world, but you're kind of new to it again, and you don't, you know, it's a whole thing.
It's like seltzer water, like you said. It still tastes like shit. It just doesn't have alcohol.
Yeah, you still wince just the same. Yeah. It's
Right.
like one of the, yeah.
Oh,
But that and ginger beer. Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things too that like I got COVID back in October of last year. And I cut out all soda, like diet, regular, whatever. I just cut out all soda. And yeah, along with most alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
And it's been a completely different year. And, you know, I know like Gary Holt, they just did the main leg of the Bay Strikes Back tour. He's been just about a year sober. Like he did that. I know he posted at the end of the tour, it was like 300 days that he had done, you know, like 300 days sober or something like that. And it was his first actual tour without doing any kind of alcohol or drugs or anything.
Yeah,
and he was just like, holy shit, this is like an eye-opening experience. And to me, that's crazy because it's like, dude's close to 60, right? And it's like, in all actuality, it's like, I wanted to ask him, it's like, have you ever done a tour at all without being trashed at least one time?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You know, and just being in that world, especially the thrash, it's the culture, man. You're in a thrash band, you drink heavy, you play fast, you know, and that's just the culture. And, yeah, that was me for about 17 years, and I'm coming up on 4 years sober myself. And, yeah, it's just, you know, it was a good thing for me, man. There's nothing wrong with drinking. There's nothing wrong with any of that for whoever. You just have to kind of do what works for you.
Right.
And, for me, it worked just to kind of like cut it out altogether. And so it's, that's why I'm, you know, drawing, you know, stuff for album layouts and screen printing shirts and writing 1,000 songs and doing all this. 'Cause I've got all that very dialed in energy now. That instead of like doing what I was doing before, I'm pretty focused on just that laser beam of busy hands, not knowing what to do with them, sober guy energy, you know. But it's been very beneficial, you know.
Definitely,
so.
I totally get that. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code METALFORGE10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.
Hey, it's Mark Maxwell at Maxwell's House of Music. Listen, all this stuff is now available to purchase on our website. Check it out at maxwellshouseofmusic.com.
We carry all the top brands, like Fender.
We got Gibson.
We also have basses.
We've got ukuleles.
We got drums.
We've got sound gear.
We've got keyboards.
It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast. We're on season 2, so you have a whole season to get weird with Frank Green and Scott Clark. The best part is there's always laughter.
Oh, yeah, you can pull that out.
We have national touring comedians, NFL stars, rock stars, your local friends. It always gets weird. Weird answers.
Have y'all ever snorted coke off of a 78 Pinto? No? You ain't no man.
Weird questions.
Who had a bigger cocaine habit, Jock Sutherland or Kaywood Ledford?
Neither one, because they stopped beating their wives.
And weird we never even thought of.
Well, no. My friend is on acid, and I sent my friend to go find a payphone so that I can call and turn myself in for murdering this guy and ruin my life.
We love all types of people, but we don't love all people.
Weird. It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast, available everywhere. And thank you to Big X Sports Radio for being a proud sponsor of It's Gonna Get Weird. Frank Green, Scott Clark. Yeah.
In the next year, what is a goal you want to set and try and reach for Black Knife or yourself personally?
Okay, so I've got a couple year goals in place already. So this year we want to do Midwest and East Coast as much as we can. Next year, our goal is to get out on the West Coast and get on more fests, which we're already booked on some West Coast stuff and on about 4 or 5 fests already. And so the third year, money pending, hopefully my 3-year goal is to get us outside of the United States, or hopefully maybe even earlier. I don't know, but you know, that's a pretty expensive jaunt. That's one I've never done, like I said. So baby steps, you know, but that's kind of where we're at and what we're hoping to do. We'll just kind of see how it goes, but
absolutely, which is something that is totally fucking awesome to be able to do. Like, I see a lot of these bands that have been on the Metal Forge over the last few years and seeing them doing, like, you know, Keep It True and shows in Germany and Greece and just going overseas and just playing on like a 14-day tour and stuff like that, and just being like, wow, dudes, that's fucking awesome. And and for me, I think I told some friends this here the other day, was, you know, I really want to, over the next 18 months, so by the beginning of 2024, I want to have enough money saved to where I could go to one of these festival shows, in not necessarily like a Bloodstock, but maybe like a Keep It True or something like that overseas, and, you know, get to see, you know, the motherland of Ireland and shit like that. Yeah, that would be extremely rad, man. That's the goal, you know. That's what I'm really hoping to do, and I always love when I see people, you know, especially local guys doing it, like Nick Burks. I know I heard you on your last episode talking about him a little bit. Over there right now, I think, you know, just over there with War Cloud playing and stuff, and they're Kentucky boys like us. So I think that's pretty fucking rad, man. And it's attainable, you know, just like we were saying, it's doable. It's just saving and planning and just kind of grinding it out. But it always makes you, you're happy to see, you know, when you see some dude, you know, out there doing it. Oh, absolutely. So. It's totally cool. And, you know, what I think's really awesome is I saw some bands that are going on tour and their tour starts here. I think it started just here on the 1st of June.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're a couple of weeks in now. And about 2 to 3 weeks prior to the to the tour start, they put up like a GoFundMe with a super attainable goal of like, you know, a couple grand, you know, whatever, and said, hey guys, we're going back on tour with the unexpected gas prices. If you feel like you want to contribute, here's some things that we can offer you to contribute to our tour expense. And just did it. And both of these bands had got it. And it's just like, wow, dude, that's really cool. The community cares enough about bands today that can go on tour and still have to pay, you know, on the upwards of, you know, $5 or more a gallon in gas. I think it's pretty much that close everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and still be able to go on tour and rock the fuck out for people.
Yeah, I think that's so cool, man. And everywhere you go, you definitely see that camaraderie and people. And this last, you know, little bit with Black Knife, we've been able to get out more than we have in the past and go further and push ourselves further, you know, traveling farther than we have before and stuff. And I want to just keep pushing that. But it doesn't matter where you go. It's just really cool that there are like-minded weirdos just like us that are just like in every city. And there's an overall just a camaraderie that's just, it's fucking cool, man. And it's, you know, it's just what keeps you coming back. So it's just fucking awesome to see.
Definitely. Dude, Hellwuv, thank you so much for coming on the Metal Forge this week for this Reforged episode. It has been awesome because it's just catching up, you know, because that's what it's about. You know, I want to do more of these. So hopefully here in the next few months, you'll be up for doing another one.
I would be happy to, man. I'm a big fan, as you know. I listen all the time,
and I'm
glad to be had. So yeah, man, thank you.
Definitely. So on the way out today, I'm going to play a song from the Black Knife Bastard Cross split. I'm going to play I Am a Fucking Demon. And well, actually, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just play them both. How's that? Because it's like 4 minutes, but for the both of them. So we're going to play I Am a Fucking Demon and Edge of the Knife.
I
Hey, thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of the Metal Forge. I want to take a minute to remind you guys about the Patreon page. Over on the Patreon page, we have the tiers set up to support the production of the show. We feature the Down and Dirty, which is just $1. There's nothing special for that one, it just sends me a thank you, because every dollar helps. Then there's the Double Down and Dirty. Much akin to the Down and Dirty tier, everything helps produce the show in the end. You make your presence known, and I appreciate that more than you realize. Thank you for being a dedicated friend and supporter to the Metal Forge. By selecting that tier, you will receive some cool Metal Forge stickers in your mailbox. Now, we're really going to start pounding the metal madness with the Apprentice Metalhead for just $5 a month. By becoming an Apprentice Metalhead, you'll be given early access to the shows, published 24 hours before everyone else gets it. You're also going to receive 3 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You're also going to receive a 10% discount on all Metal Forge merch, and you're going to receive a sweet Metal Forge patch for your battle jacket or backpack. And now, here is the big one. This is the Master Metalhead for just $10 a month. By becoming a Master Metalhead, you will receive a hand-numbered Metal Forge Master Metalhead membership card. You're going to be given early access to the shows as well, with 36 hours before everyone else. You're going to receive 5 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You'll be able to submit audio questions that I will use on the show of you asking questions to the upcoming guests. Remember, timing is everything, and you will need to keep up with the upcoming guest list on the website. You're also going to receive advanced knowledge of any new merch coming out and be given a 25% discount on all Metal Forge merch. And you're also going to get all of the other rewards from the other tiers. So visit patreon.com/Metal Forge Radio today and help support the Metal Forge. Rock on.